Good afternoon. We will begin the Lee County Port Authority Board meeting. Today is January 16th, 2025, and the time is 1:05. I would like to introduce Pastor Van Gardner from the Church of Nazarene for the invocation. Could we all please rise? Thank you, sir, for being here.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity of this meeting. We pray right now blessings on everyone who's here, blessings on the council members that are going to make decisions today. And we just pray right now that the wise decisions would be made and that the wisdom to follow through. And as they do what they do, that they will do it in the blessing of Jesus Christ himself, in whose name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And since we're all standing, I'm sure y'all won't mind giving our commissioner a round of applause. Nothing like making a grand entrance.
So happy to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
I'm supposed to have the traffic fixed by now.
We started a tradition, just so you know. District
How much
3
do I owe?
he was late last time, and now you're late, so it's a tradition. So make sure you just for District 3.
Oh,
District 3, that's right. That's it.
yes. There was indeed a record saying Daniels.
All right, I would like to introduce the Clerk of Court, Kevin Carnes, to perform the annual reorganization of the Board of Port Commissioners. Welcome, Kevin, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome. Happy New Year, Board. It's an honor to be here for your reorganizational meeting. My purpose today is fairly short and sweet. We've done this before, which is to get you a chair for the upcoming year. We just did this for your actual duties as county commissioners, so we'll jump right into it. You all know the drill. We'll take a nomination from any commissioner for the chair, including yourselves. Nominations do not need a second. And then we'll do a voice vote by district to elect your new chairman. So at this time, I'll open nominations for chair.
I would like to nominate Commissioner Kevin Rain.
Kevin Ruane, do we have any other nominations on the floor?
Close nominations.
Nominations are officially closed. Commissioner Ruane for chair. All right. Let's go with the vote. Commissioner Ruane, aye or nay?
Yes.
District 2?
Aye.
District 3?
Aye.
District 4?
Yes.
And District 5?
Yes.
And the vote is unanimous. Congratulations, Commissioner Ruane. You are the chair.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, the meeting is now yours for the election of your vice chair.
Thank you. I will certainly take nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Commissioner Pendergrass. A second.
Great. I'll close nominations. Everybody in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, Cecil.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, we do have a public presentation. I'm honored to do so. Fran, I need you.
Okay.
Appreciate it very much. Port Commissioners, resolution honoring Fran Myers. Whereas Fran Myers will be retiring from the Airport Special Management Committee effective January 16, 2025. We're so sorry to see you go. Whereas she has served on the Airport Special Management Committee for more than 31 years as its longest serving member, providing guidance to all other members and to the Board of Port Commissioners on matters that have embedded Southwest Florida International Airport and Page Field in Lee County, Florida, to become two of the finest airports in the country. And whereas Fran Myers has been part of the growth and development of both airports to include the airport being renamed, rebranded to Southwest Florida International Airport to reflect its emerging international status, the runway extending 12,000 feet, funding and construction of the Midfield Terminal Complex, the Runway 624 Rehabilitation Project, a first single runway airport, a new aircraft rescue and firefighting station, Skyplex development and marketing, a new airport traffic control tower, and the beginning of the construction of Terminal Expansion Project Phase 1 and Concourse E, as well as overall transformation of Page Field to include Page Field Commons, the airport land leases, the construction of base operations, several new multi-use hangars, a new flight school, and the funding of construction of new hangars, tie-downs, and general aviation center in South Quad. And whereas she has contributed the success of both airports, winning many Federal Aviation Administration, Florida Department of Transportation awards, and state and national industry awards through the years through the operation, safety, environmental intervention, development, customer service, and more. Whereas Fran Myers has helped us to celebrate many milestones, anniversaries, completion projects, enhancements, and air service announcements, including annual passenger traffic growth at Southwest Florida from 3.7 million to more than 10 million in passengers in 2023, becoming one of the top 50 airports in the United States for passenger travel. And Page Field has grown from 100,000 air operations in 1993 to more than 203,000 in 2023. And whereas her dedication to the airport community, positive attitude, tireless work to promote tourism in Southwest Florida, as well as her outstanding loyalty to Lee County Port Authority, will be greatly missed. And whereas the Board of Port Commissioners and Special Magistrate Management Committee of Lee County, Florida, wishes to honor you on this occasion of your retirement. Now, therefore, it's resolved, Lee County Board of Port Commissioners, that Fran Myers is commended and honored for her contributions and dedicated service to Lee County Port Authority. Fran Myers is hereby granted good health, enjoy retirement, so much that you deserve. Signed in my name, Kevin Ruane. Congratulations.
Thank you all. Thank you all very much. Wow, a clock. I don't have a clock at my new place. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Kevin.
My pleasure.
Kevin and I go back a long way. He was just a little kid when he came on the TDC. And, you know, I don't have any prepared marks. I was thinking about doing some prepared marks, and I was going to talk about each commissioner. But, you know, we started late today, so I won't do that. I just tell you that, you know, almost 50 years ago, I flew into Page Field, and I thought, wow, where am I coming? This is really a small little airport. And we had 10 suitcases with us, and I think 3 sets of golf clubs. And it never did I think I'd be standing here at this airport, but it's been a pleasure. It's been fun. I could tell you some really funny stories. Well, I might just tell you one. When I first came here and I was first appointed, I didn't sit at the big table. I think I was the first woman, and they told me to sit in the audience. And I said, "Are you kidding me?" And they said, "No, you can sit at the table, maybe the next meeting." I sat in the audience for two meetings. But, I mean, I couldn't believe it, but that was a really funny, I thought, a really funny story, being the way it was with women. But anyhow, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. It's been great. I'm going to retire next month from the Tourist Development Council, and that one's 40 years. So it's time. But thank you all very, very much. I appreciate it.
Put a picture.
Are we
I'm good, right? I'm good. I'll come back here. Okay. Oh, well, I'll come over here. Yeah, get the chairs out of the way. Here we go.
That's good.
Perfect, thank you.
There's nobody here, we'll put it right here. Put it over there, put it over there.
Thank you.
My pleasure. It's certainly my honor to do what I just did. You're right, it was 18 years ago. You and I met one another, started to work together, and I'll have the honor next month at the TDC as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Been great. Is there any other presentations or recognitions we need to go through?
I have one staff recognition.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Roque, if you could stand up. I'd like to introduce Stephen Roque. He is our new Deputy Executive Director of Aviation and Chief Operating Officer. Steve has over 20 years of aviation leadership and stakeholder development experience that he's bringing to LCPA. He has an extensive background in aviation security management, general aviation, operations, strategic planning, infrastructure, facilities, as well as risk and crisis management. Excuse me. Most recently, he was the Assistant Vice President of Infrastructure Maintenance at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, DFW. He led the development and execution of all their maintenance programs for one of the world's busiest airports, I think, third or fourth in the world. Prior to that, also at DFW, he was the Vice President of the new Integrated Operations Center and also served as the Assistant Vice President of Operations Control at DFW. He has a Bachelor of Science in Aviation Management from the Florida Institute of Technology. He's certified AAAE certified member. Also has some airport certified employee certificates as well, and is also a commercial pilot. So we'd like to welcome you to Southwest Florida, and we're happy you're here. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, sir.
Commissioners, any items we need to address right now? Commissioner Maleka?
So, if it's appropriate time?
Sure.
for Appointments. I am proud to announce that I have a new appointment for this committee, and I would like to have the honor of introducing Ray Sandelli as the newest member of our committee. You gonna say a few words?
Well, first of all, it's nice being this tall. But I've been around airplanes my whole life. It's my first love. And so as I transitioned in my own career, the fact that I can smell a little jet fuel in the morning and to watch this airplane glow, it's an honor. I hope I can help.
Thanks. Welcome. County Attorney, we needed to make a motion to do that?
Yes, sir, please.
That's a motion by Mr. Maleka.
I'll second it.
A motion by Mr. Maleka, second by Commissioner Hammond. Any discussion? Any public comment?
He should be here.
Fran, I'll learn from you in your last closing moments.
Okay.
Seeing no public comment, any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Have any other items? Before I go to the recap, no other items? We're good? Okay. On the recap, I've asked to pull and defer items 20, 21, and 22. In talking with staff yesterday, I think it's grossly premature to be addressing these issues right now. I think all the commissioners need a lot more information to truly understand what's at stake. And I just think it's in everyone's best interest that we pause and we defer these items for now. I just think it's premature, and that'll be my motion to defer 20, 21, and 22.
Chairman, I'll second your motion, but I'd like to discuss if we could.
Sure.
Sure. Okay, great. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So, obviously, these are the three items that deal with the terminal expansion project. And, you know, obviously, we've all had our briefings on it now, so we're all up to speed on this. I clearly am not thrilled with where we're at today, and was hoping that maybe we could all have a discussion because of Florida's wonderful sunshine law, and I say that with no sarcasm. I do appreciate that, but we can't talk about this except being at a meeting. So do you all want to have a conversation about where we stand on this project so that at least we can kind of get an idea of where everybody's head is at? I mean, I can tell you where my head's at. I would love, if there's somebody here from Manhattan today and Atkins both, I would love to be able to ask them some questions. Is anybody here from Manhattan today?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm sorry you're the lucky soldier who got volunteered for this duty, but if you don't mind, could you come to the podium? Mr. Chair, if I may, I got some questions.
Sure.
If you could go ahead and just let us know your name and title for the record.
Sure. My name is Craig Bryant, Vice President, Regional Vice President for Manhattan here in Southwest Florida.
Okay, so Mr. Bryant, thank you so much for coming today, and just please you understand the gravity of the situation
We
here
do.
today too. So your contract, or our contract with Manhattan, expires January 31st, 2025. The reason why that contract was supposed to expire on January 31st was because the expansion was supposed to be completed by then.
Correct.
So why is it not completed?
The project has undergone a redesign for over 16 months at this point, since September of 2023.
So can you just give me an idea from your perspective, like how did we get to where we're at today?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I hate to do this, and with all due respect, might I suggest that we postpone this discussion, Commissioner, only out of a sense of, it's my understanding that the reason for the deferral is to have the board get additional information from staff, and then it might very well give rise to an attorney-client session in which we could discuss under those terms and conditions. I hate to use the litigation word, but there is a concern if the competing interests between the Port Authority, Manhattan Construction, and Atkins Engineering cannot be resolved amicably. We may end up in litigation, and the proverbial, what you say might be used against you, might very well come into play. So with that caution and out of a concern, if the board is not going to take action on these items, I would respectfully request that we follow the suggested protocol, delay a discussion on the merits at this meeting, and give your staff time to get with you in a private setting, and then, as may be necessary, perhaps schedule an attorney-client session.
I gladly will make that motion. I appreciate what you're trying to do, Commissioner Hammond. I think there's an abundant amount of additional information, and I welcome the questions you have. I would like to go in this format, see if it makes sense, if we have some consent. I'd love to have an opportunity, since I only found out when I read the agenda on Monday and had a briefing. I really asked for a lot more information, and I'm sure there's questions, but I'm a numbers person. I've never hidden the fact of that. I want to really get down the rabbit hole and look at all the information we basically have. From there, I've envisioned having a conversation with council to talk about what options we may have when we have a little bit more information and we know exactly what the issues are, because in my briefing, I heard a lot of things and a lot was thrown at me, and I'm not great at just trying to digest something in 20 minutes, especially of this magnitude. So I like what's on the table, and I certainly, just curious what we're all thinking. I think we need to do exactly what we're doing, Mr. Hammond. The only thing that I said in my wording initially, I may be premature, and we're going to have this conversation.
Yeah.
But considering the magnitude of what's going on, we might end up having this conversation in the shade session as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'll do respect, and I'll go with the will of the board. If that's what y'all want to do, that's fine. I just I only get things through the filter of staff, and I love our staff and trust them implicitly. Let me just say that. But there are some times when, as a representative of the people who elected me to ask questions. And this is, while it's not property tax dollars, it is airport revenue, so it's user fees paid by people who use the airport. They elected us as their representatives, and so I want to ask the questions, and I want to ask them in public so that everybody has a full view of the information, so that they can see what truly happened here. And it may be that we would uncover very viable reasons for why this happened and why we are where we are today. But I want to have that conversation. But that's fine. If that's the will of the board to have it another time, then that's fine too. I want to know a couple things. I want to know, how did we get where we are? Does the contractor who we have hired to do this job still want to build it? Will we be a priority to them if we do continue to go with them? I want to know if the Atkins, construction administrator there, the engineer, if they want to still be part of it, and how big of a priority will we be? Because, folks, the truth is, this is supposed to be done by now, and now it's looking like it's going to be several years before it's going to be done. And so I want some answers, and I want them to be able to be on the record for people.
Commissioner Hammond, if I may, I don't disagree with anything you said. This project started in 2016. You have 3 commissioners that are new to this. I think we all have the opportunity to get whatever information we need.
Yeah.
And I can tell you as one, I need a lot of information to have a substantive conversation, to have a proper dialogue with us. I want to be fully transparent to the public. At this point in time, I don't know that I have enough input from my point of view right now to have a productive conversation, which is necessary. But it's kind of hard when you get a briefing at 11:20 yesterday to walk in here, okay, and have this robust conversation I think is necessary. I just would, from this commissioner's point of view, I would like the opportunity, and since someone that's always looked at financial projects the way they are, I'd like to really go down the rabbit hole and I'd really have asked for a ton of information in my briefing.
Yeah.
And from this point of view, from my point of view, I'm not really ready to talk about until I have the information I've requested.
I'll yield back, Mr. Chair. I would like to in the future be able to hear not only from our staff, who, again, I trust implicitly, they're doing a really fine job with this, but would also like to be able to hear from the people who will be our partners to find out just truly how committed they are to bringing it in on time and on budget when we do relaunch the project.
And I agree. We did talk about, obviously, doing whatever is necessary to provide the resources to buy all the additional stuff to try to move this forward. We have to start thinking, and now that we've had at least a very conversation, we can go down that path and have a good discussion. Commissioner Pendergrass, I apologize.
That's fine. Thank you. Commissioner Hammond, thanks for bringing this up. I think we all have a lot of questions to ask, and I don't do anything to jeopardize the Port Authority's position in the future. Any way we're dealing with the contractors in a positive way or a litigation way. But this is why, going back a year and a half ago, we were told we were a year behind on this project. And then we go back a year ago, we were told we're a year behind. And here we sit today, where we're 2 years behind. And my concern is, like yours, is the commitment to getting this project done and the additional costs. And that's some of the questions we're going to have. That's why the last time we voted on some of these items, I voted against the bonding issue, because I saw this coming a year ago. This was going to be an issue. Here we are, borrowing more money to bond this project, and here we are a year later, and we're still talking about it. Nothing else is done. So I'll look forward to those executive sessions, county attorney, and working with staff. But Steve, we had this discussion with you 6 months ago. You got to bring this home. And we hired you 6 months ago. This is, one of the biggest projects here. And I know you fell in the middle of it, so it was no fault of yours at all, but we need to get this fixed. So I look forward to have more information. Thank you.
Can I just
Absolutely.
comment
Go
on-
ahead, by all means.
So, as Mr. Harrigan pointed out in my briefing 2 days ago, he picked a heck of a first meeting to be on the Port Authority. So I'm honored to be here, and I'm all about the airport. I mean, it's the greatest economic engine we have in this community, and we all want to see it succeed. But when I saw the numbers, and it took a little bit to sift through to realize the scope and magnitude of just how bad this was. And I read it the first time as if it was going from 307 to 346. It looked like we had a change order for $39 million, and then I realized the problem was 10 times worse than that. And I was mad the first time. So I left frustrated, and so I understand why Brian wants to get it out here, and also the sunshine rules. I'd love to sit here with Mike and be in my office unpacking the construction documents and looking at this as contractors to take it apart and unpackage it, but we're not allowed to do those things without all this formality. And so it is your frustration about communication. It's real. Like everybody wants to do a good job. And I'm sure we'll have the opportunity for all the audience and all the meetings that we want to have. And I'm glad it's deferred because it's a $500 million problem and it needs to be held the right way. But it's enormous, and we got to get our arms around this and get this thing resolved. But it's difficult. But
Yeah.
hopefully, from the construction side, we can look at those things.
I have to be honest, when I became a commissioner several years ago, and the first meeting that I had and I was briefed at, I brought it, I think maybe the second meeting, I brought it to the attention. One of the things that I was concerned about is the way we do our business out here was different for me than I had seen in the construction industry. But I've not done airport in this, this industry, so it was different, but, it's gotten off the rails, and I think it probably makes sense that we really step back here and make sure that we're all on the same page and what we're voting on, and getting the answers of the questions you're asking, I think that we need it, and I think the pause is.
We're going to get them.
Well needed, because we need to understand not just what happened, but how we gonna move forward, and we have to make a decision as a board up here. And it's very difficult when you can't sit around and talk and really get a full picture of what's going on. So I 100% agree with Commissioner Hammond and Commissioner Wayne that we need to step back, and Chairman, that we need to step back and really take a look at this. I think it's very, very important. And there's definitely the legal part of it. We don't want to. We got to make sure we're doing the right move up here as well. So I'm all for the pause.
I know we had a conversation amongst this board about where we're going, and I more than respect the two senior people on this commission that have a lot of insight. They've been here for a long time. It's just, I just need, and I've asked for an awful lot of information, and for me to ask and have a productive conversation, whether it's here, whether we need to go to shade session, I'm fine with doing that. I am very, very open to it. Mm-hmm. I just want to be prepared. This is probably one of the biggest exams I'm ever going to take, if you want to have an analogy with school. And I can't cram in 24 hours and be where I need to be. So that's the reason for my suggestion. That's the reason for my motion. And I will assure everyone that we will go through the necessary steps we need to. I just think that each one of us should look at what we think we need, what type of additional information, send the email, don't copy any of us, go to the Port Authority, gather all that. I will certainly have immense conversations. We do have intervention. We started from having our county manager, our county attorney to try to help. We said we had some issues. We wanted to make sure that I will, out of abundance of caution, make sure I try to touch any form of communication, any input we could have. And at some point in time, I think we do this. And I really want to do it as expeditiously as possible. I indicated to Steve in my briefing yesterday, I need the information. I understand the clock. I understand what's issue. We need to be able to be responsive instantaneously. And I just apologize for having an agenda that had 3 sentences and a green sheet that had 6 sentences, and I just couldn't move forward with not enough information. That's the reason for my motion. That's what's my thinking, my rationale. I do respect our counsel. I do respect his advice, and I'm not one to go against counsel's advice, not on a project of this size. That's my motion.
Did we get a second?
Yeah, I seconded it already, yep.
Okay. Any other discussion at the dais? Any public comment? I'll close public comment. Anyone else have anything they want to say before we move on? Thank you very much. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Like I said, I suggest you put together whatever as quickly as you can. And if you have 4 or 5 things you need, send them. If you have 4 or 5 more things that pop in your head, let's do this. And we will make this a priority over the next 30 days to get us all together, be able to do this. If I need to, I'll coordinate with everyone for calendars to do a special meeting. This will be the only item, and I think it warrants that type of singularity to it. Yes, sir.
So Commissioner, if I could, I've been alerted that people on the outside cannot hear the audio part of this meeting, so it's being recorded, but the audio is not being heard on the outside of this meeting. So if the technical people could check that, thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate the, can anyone check that? I want to make sure the public is hearing this as well. Should we pause for 5 minutes to see if you could reset a router or anything? I don't know what you need to do.
Okay,
Is that a yes?
as long as it's recorded, I guess.
Huh?
As long as it's being recorded, it's people here locally in Tallahassee were saying they couldn't hear it, so there's no audio in the meeting. So there's
Being
video, but
recorded?
there's no audio, so the live stream.
So it's being recorded, everybody comfortable moving forward?
Yep. Recorded, but it's not audio.
I'm sorry? Commissioners, it's our prerogative. Are we okay moving forward?
Someone just said they've got audio on it.
Okay, great. Okay. So the audio is being recorded. There's nothing, we're not saying that's not recorded. You can listen to it. Sorry if you can't see my smiling face. It's probably better.
And we have IT looking at it.
Thank you. I don't mean to make it light, but I appreciate that. Now that we're able to move after the recap, consent agenda. Any commissioners have any items to pull? Commissioner Pendergrass?
Done.
Commissioner Hammond?
I have none.
Commissioner Greenwell?
I have
Commissioner Maleka?
I would like to review number 13 for, please.
Let's pull item number 13. Would you like to pull that?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's pull that. Have a motion for the balance of the items?
I'll make a motion for the balance of the item. I'll second it.
I have a motion for Commissioner Greenwell, a second by Commissioner Hammond. I'll take public comment on any consent items with the exception of 13. Anyone wants to talk about them, feel free to raise your hand. If you haven't, I'll recognize you. If not, I don't see any public comment, I'll close public comment, and I'll bring it back to the board. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item number 13, David, you have the floor.
So, I would like you to review this item. Just tell us what the purpose of this item is, please.
Yeah, so I'll ask Ms. Underhill to help with this one.
Good afternoon. For the record, Emily Underhill, Development. Item 13 is seeking board endorsement of a selection of a firm to perform construction engineering inspection services for the new public safety building at RSW. Michael Baker was scored as the #1 firm, and we are asking for endorsement of this ranking.
Okay, so a couple of questions. I just want to make sure I catch up on these. A lot of these items may have been brought before the board prior to me, but this is just to design the building itself or to perform the testing to build the building?
This is to do the testing during construction.
So has the contract to award the building already been let?
We had a bid opening yesterday.
So the answer
Hard
is
bid
no.
opened yesterday. We're still vetting through those bids that were received.
Okay. Can you tell us if the bids that you have are within budget or?
Yes, they are.
expected budget?
Couple $1 million less than the anticipated cost.
Okay. I pulled this item just to point out that in light of everything else we were discussing that we're not discussing yet right now for the other matters for construction, that it struck me as worth mentioning that we're taking on and building something else right now in addition to what we haven't solved on these other larger items. And I want to make sure we get on the record that we do have the right manpower and staff to take on yet another expensive project under construction at this time, based on all the other things that I've seen to date so far that seem to be challenging. So do you think it's wise to move forward with?
Yes, I do,
another-
and this is a very simple project compared to the other ones that we've been talking about.
Okay, it just seems like everybody's got a lot on their plates already.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to.
Well, this firm will
to make it
definitely
clear
assist
that
us. I mean, they'll be doing all the materials, construction, engineering, inspection services.
My pulling the item has nothing to do with the qualifications of the great firm that's going to do the work. I just, we have a lot of irons in the fire right now. I want to make sure we have enough staff, and enough management to manage our people too. So, thank you. I'm satisfied.
Any other discussion on item 13? I'll entertain a motion if someone wants to make one.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 13.
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Maleka, a first by Commissioner Maleka, a second by Commissioner Greenwell. Any public comment on item 13? Seeing none, I'll pull it back to the board. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll move on to the administrative agenda with item number 14. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to ask Mr. McGonigal to introduce item number 14, which sets the rates and fees, airline settlement, and revenue sharing for fiscal year 23-24.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Commissioners, Brian McGonigal. Admin item number 14, yeah, this is the annual recalculation that we do every year with the per our use agreement. We line up our budgeted revenues to what actually happened, and we line up our expenses, budgeted expenses, to what we actually spent. So real briefly, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, I'll just give a 2-minute summary of the results.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. It was a great year. Passengers came in at 11.1 million, and this is fiscal year, by the way, ending September 30th. Passengers came in at 11.1 million, a record fiscal year. We budgeted a little over 10 million. We did not think we would recover that quick from Ian, but it was a good year as far as passengers. So on the revenue side, our non-airline revenues came in at 101 million. We budgeted 84 million. A couple of the outliers I just want to shout out on the revenues. Our investment income was 10 million. It exceeded our budget by 6 million. We got business interruption insurance from Ian. The storm was in September of 22. We had a strong business interruption policy. We got the proceeds last fiscal year. It was 4.6 million. We negotiated with them. We thought we were getting 2 million. And so we were pleased to get it. We got a check for 4.6 million that we budgeted. We thought we were going to get about 2. The parking lot, which is our number one revenue, came in at 29 million. It exceeded our budget by 6 million. If you recall, we raised the rates 10/1 of 23, so we saw a whole year of those new rates. Parking revenue is just coming in. And with the increase in passengers, we saw an increase in terminal sales, in food and beverage and retail, of almost $2 million more. And then on the expense side, we spent a little over 90% of our operating budget, which is typical. We did see some savings in insurance, utilities about 300,000, and fuel for our fleet of about 400. Our payroll came in at 47 million. We spent 97% of our payroll, which is typical. We usually spend 95, 97%. This was the last year that we used CARES funding. If you recall, in 2000, we got $79 million in CARES money, and we used it for 5 years, and that helped offset our expenses. We were very fortunate that we got $79 million. We used it over 5 years, and we just used the last 10 million. So the numbers today reflect that last 10 million that we got. So we're happy to get that. So what we do is we recalculate all the rates. So we budgeted a landing fee of $2.59. It actually came in at $2.09. We budgeted a terminal rental rate of $128. It came in at slightly low at $115. So as a result, the airline cost per EP or their total cost to us, we budgeted $8. It came in at $4.75. So that settlement of those fees is a $5 million settlement back to the airlines. They overpaid. They'll get $5 million back. And then net funds remaining after all our required adjustments came in at $26 million. The airlines get we get 60%. which is 16 million, and the airlines will get an additional 10. The commissioners, the auditors were here. They've come and gone. They scrubbed all these numbers. They agree with it. And with your approval today, we will issue checks to the airlines. So it was a good year. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Budget a good year.
It was a good year, yep.
Anyone would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second it.
I have a motion by Commissioner Greenwell, second by Commissioner Hammond. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. I'll bring it back up to the board. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 15.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 15, request board approve a First Amendment with Delta Airlines with their airport use and lease agreement. Mr. McGonigal?
Yeah, Delta has they just started a 10-year agreement with us, like all the airlines, and this is a really small change to their space, but it does require board approval. We're reconciling their space a little bit due to the project. So the ticket counter space is only going down by, let's see, 300 feet, and the ticket office behind is going down by 48 square feet. It's real small, but it requires board approval. So. And
I'll
that's
make
it.
a
Yeah,
motion to
sorry,
approve
that's it. Thank you.
Item 15. Were you done?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve item 15. I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Greenwell, second by Commissioner Hammond. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. I'll bring it back up to the board. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries unanimously. Steve, number 16?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Number 16, request board approve the pricing and terms by utilizing an Omnia Mesa contract with CDW, as well as requesting board approve the purchase of some VMware software.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. So CDW is a very valuable contract to us. It provides some really good pricing for all of our IT needs, computers, printers. This CDW, it expires in February 28th of next month. It expires. This is a renewal to them. Again, we buy a lot of IT equipment, especially down at the airline gates. All that equipment that you see when you fly out, that's all our equipment that we purchase. This is a great contract. It allows us to get this equipment quickly. If there happens to be any equipment over $100,000 during this term, we'll bring that one item back, if there is. But that's what we're requesting. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions? Brian?
No? Move approval, Chairman. A second.
Motion by Commissioner Hammond, second by Commissioner Greenwell. Any public comment? Item 16, I'll close public comment. Thank you very much. Come back to the commission. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 17, sir?
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you.
Item 17 is a contract between the Lee County Port Authority and Parsons Transportation Group for project support services. You've heard me call this extension of staff. I'd like Ms. Underhill to introduce the item, please.
Yes, again, for the record, Emily Underhill. For item number 17, recently the board selected Parsons Transportation Group, Inc. as the top-ranked firm to perform project support services for the terminal expansion Phase 1 project and authorized staff to begin contract negotiations. This agenda item, number 1, seeks approval of a new contract to provide those professional services, and secondly, seeks approval of 4 initial tasks to have Parsons serve as an extension of staff to produce monthly project updates, perform critical path analysis of the construction schedule, conduct a financial audit of contracts and processes, and develop and maintain a construction phase of operations plan that will assist in communications and operations. In summary, staff seeks approval of this item with Parsons Transportation Group in the amount of $3,600,000, $876. Sorry.
Emily, any questions for Emily?
So what benefit will we get by, what direct benefit, how fast will it take, how long will it take to get improvement using their extension of services?
Well, it is going to take several months for them to get on board and become familiar with all the contracts and all the documents and understand the processes. But they will be jumping in right away to start producing monthly reports, looking at the construction schedules. So, I mean, I think within a couple months, we'll definitely see an enhancement, to our staff.
So when you say extension of staff, the scopes of services they're providing, have we already been doing that in-house now and we're adding
Yes,
people
yes.
to a scope of work we're already performing
Yeah,
ourselves?
we haven't been doing the construction auditing. Obviously, that's a new item, and we haven't done the construction operations plan. But we've been producing monthly reports, and we have done some analyses of the critical path schedule.
Okay. So who's been running this portion of the project so far? This is for phase one only, their services?
Yes, we have a second solicitation for the terminal expansion phase 2 project that's currently underway.
So who are the key people on our team right now that these people will be reporting to and working with?
Myself, Hector Yanez, the Director of Engineering and Construction, and then Adam Wynn, who's the architect.
Okay.
If I may,
Oh, good.
Commissioner Greenwald.
I have a question. So if you,
Commissioner Pendergrass.
if we approve this contract and in the future they come back with information, when they provide the information, would it come back to staff then?
Yes,
Information first?
yes, this information is going to come to staff.
What would you guys do with information then if it's something negative about the job, the performance of the contractor?
We would take action on it. I mean, whatever their recommendations would be, we would definitely review that and then make improvements as needed.
Well, I'm asking, my concern is, that's what we've been doing up to now, and this is where we are now, 2 years behind. So no action's been taken. We've been sitting on stuff for months at a time, a year at a time. So what would give us reassurance to approve spending another $3 million to somebody else to tell us what's wrong, and then nothing happened? Do we find out about it a year later then?
if I can.
Yes.
This seems to be when this was all brought to us about how far we were behind and all that, I think as a board, we had discussion about bringing someone on to make sure that is overseeing such a big project. So if I'm understanding this right, this is an addition to your staff to help make sure that we do not allow this to happen again. So this is a group that's kind of following behind, making sure that everything's crossed, I's are dotted, T's are crossed, all that good stuff. Is that right? Is that okay?
But I guess my first line of questioning, Commissioner, I think that's a great point, right? Is that we're not trying to, we're looking for ways that are gonna make the project better in the future and not just a history lesson to tell us what went wrong 2 years ago, right? That's not productive for what we're trying to get to right now. So I'm asking, how will they benefit the project getting back on track? What advantages do they bring to that side of the job, not the forensic audit?
Mr. Chair, so it does two items, and for a background for a company like this, or the extension of staff professional services, usually, it's very prevalent at large airports. They bring in staff companies who early in the design are embedded in the project to help supplement staff, because projects are so large, the depth of knowledge is so expansive that you need individualized, kind of off the shelf, I need somebody to do this and look at that you might not have on staff. So this allows you to do that. With this item though, it's a little unique. They will be doing an audit, in a forensic audit, to help look at kind of what has gone on in the past, as well as give us the bandwidth moving forward. Ms. Underhill has a small department with several large projects going on. We need bandwidth that is normal within the aviation industry. Parsons is an aviation-centric company who specializes and has the bandwidth to pull in people from literally around the world to help us on our project, to help it get done, to bounce questions off us, and really be that extension asset to help speed things up and smooth out projects for us.
And I can see where that tool is certainly helpful, but to Commissioner Pendergrass's point, how soon upon your receipt of that information are you going to turn that over to the board we don't want to wait 59 days,
No.
for, the next memo.
If I could, Chair, I was.
What he was implying.
I was in the middle of my question. So my question is, if they bring this up back to your staff, when will we, my goal is if we approve this, that information gets back directly to us as soon as possible.
Yes.
Not 6 months or a year later.
No.
So we can react if we need board action. So that was my question. Will the information obviously come to staff directly, but how important it is that you get that information back to the board so we can react, so we're not sitting here 6 months later, a year later, asking us questions that we're getting from the public every day. What's going on with this? After we approved another $3.6 million. That was my question.
Yeah, and related to the construction audit, I believe that we have assumed it's going to take 6 months for them to go through that process. So it would be 6 months before we'd be coming back with some kind of recommendation by them related to the construction audit.
Yeah, our goal is not to sit on information. Our goal is to be transparent. Yeah, I know one of the asks previously is, in executive comments, report out on the status of projects. This is going to be another element of that, but greater depth, and it becomes how much detail do you want? This will allow us to give you greater detail than we are right now.
Do they have to perform the audit portion of this to be able to advise us to how to accelerate or manage the project going forward? Or can they run parallel on both of those tasks?
We're not hiring them to accelerate the project. We're hiring them to assist us in providing personnel to help manage different activities, but they're not being hired to accelerate the project.
I assume they were trying to make the processes better or look for ways to
Yes, they're going to make
streamline.
Yes, they're going to
the
make
project.
recommendations to improve processes or point out issues if they see that.
Mr. Chair?
Okay.
And just to further elaborate on your question, those items are in parallel. That's one of the nuances of a company like this.
Okay.
They can have a group come in and look at the forensics and do the audit, bring in the financial, bring out the schedule specialist, bring out the design specialist, look at this, while also helping us with our reset, building forward, working in parallel, and ebbing and flowing as the project goes on. The other nice thing about this is, from a project duration, while large hubs typically bring them on early, is the life cycle of a project. You have ramp up, you have trades come in, there's downtime, trades come in. So, depending on what's going on during a build, you have different needs, you have different staffings. This allows us to bring in that specialist in tandem. So there'll be multiple facets going on with an item like this, as well as phase 2, which will really benefit the Port Authority.
Thanks, Chairman. What role will they play in helping us determine a path forward on the Terminal 1 expansion? I mean, because really, my understanding is we're basically kind of at a stopping point right now, and we were looking today to potentially reset the project or relaunch it, but now we're going to defer that item. So what role can this company play in helping us determine which path to take when we relaunch?
So from a path to take, we have some, that's more on staff. So that path is kind of what's been laid out, which we'll have further discussion on. What this company or a company like it really does is help us with the completion. It helps us be, kind of boots on the ground with the specialty in-house. Again, Ms. Underhill has a very small staff across 2 airports. It allows us to have better eyes on the question or the statement is brought up. We don't want to wait a long time until we find something and then have to act. This will allow us to have those eyes on the project, to have that aha moment, if you will, and have visibility into potential items much sooner.
So their role will be oversight of the Terminal 1, or the Terminal Expansion Project Phase 1?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Robbie?
Steve, I recall the Port Board recommending involved.
Yes.
Do you have a county staff person involved when things come back to the staff to look at?
So we have, from the recommendation, we have been engaging with county staff, from the county manager to his assigned staff. Weekly, bi-weekly, they've been in on, basically since that recommendation request was made. They've been an integral part of it, part of the decision-making process that we've gone through. They're well-versed in how we got to where we are today and some of the challenges and successes we've had with this process, so they are very much up to speed.
I felt that you would follow their direction, and I just wanted to get that of record that you are doing that
Yes.
and incorporating them. Okay.
So, another follow-up, please. I understand that they're going to enhance your staff in a number of ways. I think what Commissioner Hammond and I keep driving at is, how are we going to get better tomorrow? How do we rescue the project? I mean, where's that team of services, or do we need another person besides this person to be that agent that's going to will the project to happen better, faster, cheaper than its current plan right now? You say, you keep mentioning the small staff that you have in 2 airports, and we don't have enough people to do this, and we're subbing out yet another professional. Do they do what I think Commissioner Hammond and I are trying to convey, is make it better tomorrow and not just research yesterday?
Yeah, so that is one of the things, she mentioned the concept of operations, is they're looking at, that's part of why the first kind of, set of time frame, they're looking at what's your plan, how are you going to do it? We have an extensive phasing plan. We had an original one that should have delivered a project in, this past October. We have a revamped one that LCPA, Manhattan, Atkins, all of the airport, stakeholders, airlines, everybody, TSA has been an integral part to speed up this project to get to the items that were deferred today for further discussion. As part of this, though, they are also a specialized group that can continue to look at and do best practice, see what they can recommend to help us further streamline things. Because the more eyes we can put on this, they have global perspective. Hey, we worked on something at this airport. We've seen a similar situation. We've had success with this. We haven't with that. Here are your options. So the answer, long-winded, would be yes.
We want you to get the help you need. I mean,
Yes.
Don't misunderstand me.
No, this
okay?
would allow
It's-
us.
If we need 2 different widgets, then I'm just making sure that we are getting the services that we actually
Yes.
need on both sides, offense and defense of this job. And I think the comment was made, well, staff's going to be in charge of driving things and forward, and this company's going to assist us in other ways. Did I hear that
Yes.
correctly?
Yeah, so this
So
is
you just said staff is understaffed and we don't have enough
Look,
eyes.
No,
So
so
I don't
we
mean to
have
sound-
a set-
I don't mean to sound confused.
No, much like any airport, we have a set staff, so that's why, again, with the larger airports, this is kind of a par for the course. It's a new concept here. It's not something they've typically done, but we're growing into a larger medium hub airport, I think it was, Fran, 3 million passengers, and now we're going to be pushing close to 12 million, and we've got 14 gates coming on, which we're going to, pump another 14,000 people through here a day. So we're growing, and this is one of those items that really helps us answer all those questions, be a global set of eyes on a local level to help us get best practices and kind of what works to help streamline.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, Chairman, if I may. I get, that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier, is the fact that when all of this came to light, is one of the discussions that we had was that another set of eyes, that, and after looking at larger airports and how they do it compared to how we're doing it, we don't want to make this mistake again. So the amount of money that catches your eye naturally, but the reality of it is, what we're trying to avoid is a 2-year delay and millions of dollars lost. So this is a product of what we put out there, I think, in the past, to bring another set of eyes in. Am I seeing this right? And
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, I just want, because I know not being here, and when all this went on at the beginning, you're going to look at this and go, what are we doing? We don't have staff to do it. But the reality of it is, these are such large projects that
we need the help.
they need the help. So I guess that's where this come about.
I guess my follow-up to my follow-up is, if this company is great, and I'm sure they are, right, and they do all these array of services, if there's something on the menu that we've picked 5 things out of, and if they do 10, I'd rather you say, I need $5 million because I didn't pick the Happy Meal package. These other 2 things would be valuable for us. We didn't do that because we wanted to come back conservative, but for another $1 million, we could have them do something on to aggressively move forward in other areas that would support our staff to do a better job going forward. So if there is a upgrade option, I'm asking the question, do they do any more than this, and then would anything else be useful that we haven't covered along the lines of our questions?
They do, and Ms. Underhill looks like she's itching to respond.
No, I would say they have a full cafeteria plan of services they offer. Like Steve said, this is a firm that works all over the world. So yes, they can match our needs, and we can do a contract amendment later to add additional services if we feel that's warranted.
Did you pick everything you think you need right now?
Yes.
If you had a perfect wish, this is everything you think you need right now?
Yes.
Just wanted to confirm.
And part of this is for one full-time equivalent for the 44 months. So
All right, thank you for.
You're welcome.
clarifying.
Commissioner Hammond.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I'm gonna absolutely support this. I've been supportive of this idea from the first time we talked about it and asked for it. However, I do want to, now that we've opened the conversation, I'm just curious. So my understanding of the delivery method that we've chosen for this project is we hired a construction manager to then go out and bid the project and hire the subs. And then the construction manager doesn't actually perform the work. They just manage the subs and the project and the contract. So can you just help me understand, just from a curiosity standpoint, what is the difference between the construction manager role and now having to hire an extension of staff to basically be oversight and manage the construction manager who was managing the project and managing the sub? And if I'm wrong, it's okay to say that. I want to make sure I understand.
This firm performing project support services is not going to manage Manhattan. They're going to assist us in duties that we need to do to help manage all of the contracts related to the construction.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, my question is, what role does we've worked with many partners over the years here. In 11 years, we've built some really amazing stuff, and this is the first time anything's really ever gone this wrong. You know, just your normal project stuff happens. I mean, this is an absolute first time this has ever happened in 11 years that I've been here. But what is the role of a partner when we hire a construction manager? I mean, aren't they supposed to be advising us on a lot of this stuff and helping us get the project completed?
Sure. And I think Manhattan has been. They've been attempting to streamline certain activities. They've been working on things that they can do despite the issues that are affecting the design. They've been productive in doing certain activities. There's a whole laundry list of things that they have been able to accomplish. You know, I think they have been great partners with us and have performed the duties that we've paid them to do.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Thank you. I think a good way to look at it is it's our extra set of eyes and ears. So we have a 24-hour-a-day project. Some of it's inside, some of it's outside, some of it's on the roof, some of it's mechanical, some of it's electrical, some of it's engineering. And this type of a setup allows you to have people assigned on behalf of the airport to watch, listen, report, provide ideas in a timely manner, as opposed to one or two members of staff going out, looking and going, it looks good, and moving on to the next place. It lets us be more in the weeds, if you will, more specialized with somebody whose job is MEP, somebody whose job is drywall, as examples. So it really bolsters our ability to get a bigger picture. So when, you know, the commissioners, all of you ask, how are we? We can give you a broad spectrum versus we're 10% spent and we're 10% of project done. Now we can give you, what does that mean?
I was gonna say, I'm prepared to make a motion to approve this whenever.
I have a
Second.
plethora of questions, if I may.
Okay.
Thank you. So, Steve, just to clarify this and make sure we've understood this correctly. So when the board obviously was looking for a lot of different intervention to obviously try to get this project back online, we basically gave you direction that use resources that are necessary to do this. And this firm, if I've understood you correctly, is such a firm that would help you. First and foremost, can you elaborate maybe some projects that were done, that were completed, whether it's Houston or any other airport, that this firm has actually done before? Obviously, when we go through the process of recommendations, we always look at what people have performed in the past, and if we have some type of assurances on that, then my second question, because I have a variety of questions, the second question is, just to reiterate the term, The third question is, at what point in time, if it's a 44-month term, if that's what I've heard, at what point in time is this board should have the first progress report, if you will? Is that 6 months in? Is that, when is it? So we have an expectation. And based on the services they're offering, is there anything else, as Commissioner Maleka said, and I certainly have thought, is there anything else, as we go through some of the items we deferred, is there an opportunity to do some type of amendment if we need to do any additional things that we might uncover as a result of all our questions, of all our additional information? And I think, what we found out this morning, this afternoon, is that we're going to obviously continue to dedicate the resources necessary, whatever it might be, and we might need to even have more than we truly have, but this is your first recommendation. You have an understanding of all my questions?
So I'll start with the last one first. Yes. So then I'll start with the second to last one first. So as much like any contract, if there are other items, as Ms. Underhill, stated, they run a broad spectrum. This list of tasks was developed based on what we view right now as our needs, and their initial kind of cursory review and discussion of what we need to, if we were to move forward with a project, also with our need to do a forensic audit. So it's two sides of the process there. If we need to amend that, we have that capability. We bring it back to the board, we justify it, explain why. If it's agreed upon, obviously we move forward. From a progress report standpoint, I know I've been verbalizing my project reports. One of the initial items on this task sheet is to start doing the monthly project updates, task number 2. So with that, kind of the first iteration, I guess we're on probably our third with what kind of information and how the board wants that disseminated. We'll start bringing that up once they're on and they get an understanding of what's going on from a where is the project at right now report. And obviously, as a consultant, somebody under contract, we can amend that to meet the needs of the board. So the term is 44
Can I
months.
interject for a second?
Yes, sir.
Again, just for clarity purposes, I'm trying to understand, and I'm not saying anything that you haven't done as far as giving us updates, but this firm is now an extension. This firm is now a professional group that's done this all over the United States. What's a realistic expectation that we will get some type of report from this firm for the $3.6 million we're paying them, which I'm assuming is an additional budget item. That's not in the budget, okay?
Right.
We have to have some ability to measure this, and I don't want to have any unrealistic expectations. So you, as our executive director, can you give me, when we would have a tangible, substantive report from this firm, so we could at least understand where we are, and if we need to make any modifications, what term that might be to be able to make any modifications if we need to?
Do you have that in this time?
Yeah, I mean, I think our goal is to have a report, our first report, a month from now. That may be a draft for commentary and input and suggestions for improvement.
Can I separate, I hear your report,
Sure.
this firm.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm sure it's gonna have a report, you'll augment that into your overall report. I'm trying to measure the $3.6 million we're saying. I'm trying to understand exactly what they're bringing. How do I measure it as anyone that's gonna bring in another firm? I don't as board, we wanna understand, Commissioner Pendergrass made it very clear, he wants, very prompt updates. I just want an understanding of what are they gonna deliver? Is it 6 months? I'm just trying to understand, how do I measure this firm?
They are going to, their first task, which is reviewing all the existing documents, correspondence, schedules, everything. They're going to formulate a report 6 months from now that kind of gives what they think is a State of the Union. That's one report, which I think is addressing your question.
Yes.
Yes. In addition to that, they're going to do a monthly report, which is similar to the 2 reports that we've shared to date.
Okay, so 6 months, we should get our first substantive report. Thereafter, it should be monthly. Okay, I'm just.
It should be monthly before that, but it
No, I
won't have all
I
the
understand, but I'm
detail.
trying to understand this addition to our
Yes.
staff so we can try to
Yes.
quantify it. I'm sorry if I'm being laborious. I'm just trying to make sure we have the understanding here. We had a lot of issues. I'm just trying to make sure our expectations, because in my briefing, I struggle with the $3.6 million. I was trying to understand, and I appreciate all the commissioners' questions, what they're actually going to deliver. How do I measure as as a board member? I'm sure the management group's going to want to do that as well. I'm just trying to have realistic expectations. So we talked this out, and I couldn't agree more with my colleagues in every comment they've made.
So, yeah, again, and I didn't have access to it. There's two items in parallel. One, the forensic is gonna take a little bit longer, because they'll have to do their due diligence to start matching things up, but that doesn't mean we're not getting information, but, that's gonna be a prolonged process. I think there was, hundreds of thousands or however many thousands, documents. But then on the other side, much to that sheet that we have with the timeframes, it's all there. It's all one of those, let them get their feet under them to be able to start making, informed suggestions and updates to us outside of what we're already providing to them.
Term is for how long, just for the record?
44.
Yes, 44 months.
Okay. And then if you can indulge us with some of the other airports and other things they've done so we could understand what they're bringing to the table?
I do not have that resume of their prior projects here today. I'm sorry, I didn't bring that earlier
just
information with
Might
me.
add, as ASMC member, back in November is when we had the presentations of all of those who responded to the RFQ. That's where we did hear their qualifications and rank them and pull them down. And on November 7th, the board did approve that you thought they were qualified to do these things. I understand now, seeing the dollar amount of the budget, never hurts to ask more questions, but the qualifications were all there on November 7th. And that's what we try and do for you before you get it as well, is give them the
I
third
appreciate you
degree.
pointing that out. That was before my time.
Yeah,
but
that's
it's-
okay.
I
That's
had that
quite all
background.
right. I just wanted of record for everyone to know that we've looked at their qualifications before you got to this
And
point.
I believe that they're qualified. If I could, Mr. Chair, we just want to make sure we have the right scope, right? I mean, and make sure that we're
Yeah.
agreeing on the right mission and,
Sure.
and
And things have happened. I mean, time has passed and the scope and everything was in there when we interviewed them, but it doesn't hurt to go back and revisit it if that's what you're needing to do.
I think your point, Avi, is where I was going. I don't dispute the fact that we saw about qualifications. I just didn't have my vision of $3.6 million.
I
that
know,
scope
when you
was going
see
to
the
be.
dollar amount.
So sometimes when you're making an ask, it's good to reiterate why. It's good to show about their qualifications, especially as the sport is, changing. And what we're trying to do is be much more transparent, try to see this. I'm trying to get to a point where the agenda items, when there's a request that's not in the budget, that's gonna have overruns, that we have ample. And if we have too much, I'd rather have too much and not enough.
Certainly your prerogative, certainly.
Absolutely.
Just
Yes,
wanted to
sir.
point out that
Sure,
we had
no
seen
problem.
that. Yeah.
And I agree with everything you said. Thank you very
Thank
much.
I think I'm great for this discussion. And Robbie, thank you for giving this update. We obviously have total confidence in your management team. I know you guys looking at this. We're just trying, my goal was just try to get it out publicly because, at the end of the day, I want more help to get out of this hole we're in here. And I'm hoping this will help us get out of that. I just want to make sure that it's actually going to help staff. My next question, Emily and Steve, is this company worked with Manhattan before maybe, and hopefully is this going to help our contractors? Are they going to help the contractors with their projects too? Or do you think there'll be pushback from that?
Oh, I think there'll be a welcome addition to the team. I mean, it's just more expert advice to
I
handle
want
the
to help them, that's
situation.
why I'm asking, I want to help get this project done, because, but at the end of the day, it's $3.6 million, which is $81,000 a month over 44 months, so there's still a lot of money, so when you hear employees sitting, I know, working in the Port Authority, the police and fire, they hear we're paying $81,000 a month for another contractor to come in to tell us what's wrong and what's good, it's a perception thing, so it's more dollars used for dollars being used to dig this hole even deeper, but I'll make sure it helps us get out of the hole faster though. So that's why I made the motion to support it, but it's, from a transparency standpoint, it's $81,000 a month, $3.6 million over 44 months. It's still a lot of money. Basically, it's, so to get this done. So thank you, Emily, for the presentation.
so a question for the board, maybe they told us in your presentation when you met with them, how many people are they giving us on day one? How many people are going to do this work?
We've
for the first-
negotiated for 11 different people through the course of the term. They have different classifications, different expertise, and they're working different hours depending on which task they're working on, but it's 11 staff members through the course of that.
They're providing 11 of their
Yes,
people.
11 different people.
All right.
And then-
It
and
uses a
then-
term like the senior project manager will provide management services, but it doesn't say if it's one person or 11.
Yeah.
I didn't find that reference on there. If they needed 22 people and to do it in 3 months, can we do something to make it faster? I don't know if we have any options on those kind of asks. If we didn't want to wait 6 months, is there another upgrade? Time and money is all we have in this business, so if we're, for $100,000 a month, can they do it in 90 days instead of $80,000 a month for 6 months, whatever? I don't know if any of those acceleration options have been considered.
I would tell you, commissioners, that on this side of the table, I can assure you, when those folks come to the podium before us, we ask them every question in the world, some that we probably shouldn't ask. And the gentleman sitting on my left right here goes as far as to ask them what they had for breakfast that morning. So,
We try to be thorough.
he is very thorough.
I just want to be a good customer. I'm just saying, making sure, I believe that you're
We
doing I wasn't questioning your.
Oh, no, I know you weren't.
Interviewing.
But I just want to assure you that you have a really good set of eyes
I think
here, and you're getting another even better set of eyes, so.
I'm excited to see the results.
But
The reason why I was having a conversation going from commissioners to obviously extension and the management team is to have that fluid conversation, and bring everybody up to point. And how do we improve going forward to understand? So when we do have questions, or we do want to know how many people, or that's the type of information I'd like to try to see if we could improve upon going forward. It's hard to have an agenda with a green sheet, and I'm not saying, but sometimes when you hear part of a story, you hear another part, I'd like the book report, beginning, middle, and ending, and have it all together, especially if we're going to look at this and have other people, not just this group. We're now going to, by extension, use the team we have back at the BOCC. Again, some of them may not be in this room. Some of them might have heard the questions. We're trying to have as much input as possible. Our goal is to try to move this, right-side this, to move it as quickly as possible. We all recognize the path we've gone down, and no one wants to go there anymore. That was really the reason for my questions, as detailed, and trying to have reiterations. I wasn't trying to do anything. And honestly, it's a pleasure to work with such groups of professionals that are here helping us. The more the merrier, and that's what we're all trying to do. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Just did a quick look of some of the projects Parsons is actively working on. They're working on the LAX remodernization project, which I don't know if you've ever been out there. Figueroa is the ginormous road and the train, and it's a multi-billion-dollar project. They're working in Abu Dhabi. They have a project in United Arab Emirates that they're actively working on, a terminal remodernization, Asheville, and then the last one is Hamad in Doha, Qatar. So they are a global company working on huge budgets, which I think will really benefit us. But those are some of the representative things that they have going on right now.
Super. That's great information. Any other questions, any other discussion at the board? I have a motion on the floor. Did I hear a second?
Yeah, I seconded it.
Okay, Commissioner Hammond. I'll go to public comment. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make my comments brief. I wanted to, as your county auditor, make sure that you're aware. I want to give you my thoughts and perspective. I'm certainly in favor of this idea from a purpose and intent perspective. I have no opinion on the cost. That's really your job as commissioners. If you didn't like the cost, that's totally outside my realm. But I have been working with your port director and the attorney about my role in this process and project going forward, and we certainly think it's a good idea to do that, with one consideration, where in a typical audit relationship, that auditor and audit-client relationship is directly accountable to the board itself, not management. Mr. Hannigan is management in this capacity, so typically they would work really, really closely with that person, but the firm itself would report directly to the board for that additional layer of accountability, potentially your chair, where you have that additional layer on top of Mr. Hannigan's expertise with his staff. It's just something for you to think about. I know it's apples to oranges, but the school board has an audit relationship with an external firm, and that firm reports directly to that board as well. So I don't know if that's going to be helpful to this board, but I certainly think this is a good idea, and I look forward to working with this firm or whoever you choose and Mr. Hannigan's team, because we intend to put this on our audit plan in 2025 as well. So thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, sir.
Derek Felder for the record. I'll be brief. I just had a question of, would the monthly reports from this company and or the monthly reports from staff be made public somehow to, you know, on the website or in the monthly agenda packets or something like that?
Yes. Any other public would like to speak? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. I have a motion on the floor, a second. Great discussion. Commissioner?
That's why I made my comments about before the motion was asking where the direct information is going to go to staff, is it come back to us, but normally the auditor would, the information would come back to the board. That's why I was asking if it's going to come directly to staff and how long would it be before we get that. So that was my intent for that, so I appreciate it.
If you want to amend your motion to ask them to report directly to the board, I'll amend my second to go right along with it.
My concern is how we would do that, and that would be the question I was going to ask the county attorney later, how would we be able to do that without having a special session once a month or a special meeting just for that information? So maybe the county attorney could address that. Again, I wouldn't want them to hold the information until we actually organize and publicly address the meeting, schedule a meeting too, so.
Sir.
Richard, you have any comments?
Sir, please.
Chairman?
Yes.
I think given the nature of this firm's function, it is more closely aligned with assisting management in the function and operation. The reports are certainly public record, and I'm sure with direction to your director to furnish those reports to the board, you will be completely informed.
So I could amend my motion to approve the item, and the information would be provided to staff, it could also be provided to us at the same time.
Just a simultaneous delivery of information of the reports, you know, upon receipt. Would that be a term?
Yep.
That would be lawful.
I'll amend my second then.
Okay, that's my motion, that's my
A
second.
motion, a second. Great discussion. Any other conversation? Okay. I can't thank everybody enough. Great conversation, great input. And if I'm doing things a little unorthodox, not letting the commissioners, let the management team that we have filter in, I just want to have a robust conversation. Everybody wants the best for this. This is why we live here. That's why we're hoping to go so and get this back on. So thank you all. With no other issues, no other questions, do I have any objections? I don't see any objections. Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Let's move on to number 18, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 18 is accepting a grant from FDOT, and Ms. Underhill, if you could please introduce the item.
All right. For item number 18, this amendment adds $11,448,312 in state funds in fiscal year 24-25 to be used towards eligible costs for the terminal expansion project. Port Authority staff continues to work with FDOT to program additional funds to reduce the Port Authority's costs associated with the project. This brings FDOT's participation to date to 66 million plus. These grant funds can be applied to either the RSW Terminal Expansion Phase 1 Consolidated Checkpoint Project or Terminal Expansion Phase 2 Concourse E Project.
Thank you.
I move the item.
I'll second it. Happily. Any public comment?
Yeah, positive thing.
Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board. Any other discussion? Motion by Commissioner Pendergrass, second by Commissioner Ruane. Any no other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item number 19 is another grant, this time from the FAA. Ms. Underhill, if you'd be so kind.
Thank you. Staff has been working closely with FAA staff to secure a grant agreement in the amount of $10 million to be used towards the construction of new passenger boarding bridges under the Terminal Expansion Phase 2 project. These monies are awarded under the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, or BILL, Airport Terminal Program, or ATP, and will bring the total to date in ATP funds at $18 million. Port Authority anticipates a grant agreement from the agency in the very near future. FAA has requested that the Port Authority execute the agreement as soon as possible, and in order to accommodate this request, the Executive Director requests authorization to execute the grant agreement on behalf of the Port Authority. Subsequent to the executive director's execution, the grant will be presented to the board for ratification.
I'll make a motion for approval. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Greenwell, second by Commissioner Hammond. Any public comments on this item? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Any other discussion with the board? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I believe that'll conclude our administrative items. We have a walk-on?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I guess walk-on number one, Mr. Gonigal's coming up. This is the board, requesting board to approve a ground lease in Skyplex with Arthrex, and I'd like Mr. McGonigal to introduce the item.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you, commissioners, for allowing us to walk this on. This is we're real excited about this. This is a ground lease with Arthrex. We just wrapped it up Friday afternoon, so we appreciate you letting us walk this on. It is almost 45 acres of unimproved land in the Skyplex area right across the street from the Gartner complex. It is a 40-year ground lease with an option of 10 years to go out to 50. Arthrex wishes to build a 1 million square foot facility, 800,000 square foot logistics center with an additional 200,000 square feet of office space. So it is a significant building and parcel. This will allow them close proximity to be here at the airport near their shipping partners. This ground lease is very similar to all the other ground leases that we have, with one exception. The airport, at our cost, will deliver this site. We have 33 months at our cost to get this site shovel ready, meaning fully entitled parcel with an independent stormwater system. After 33 months, development rent will kick in. Arthrex will start paying us rent based on an appraisal at that time and to recoup what the airport put in. We're real excited about this. Everybody knows Arthrex are a global leader in the medical device field, employing 4,000 employees almost just in Southwest Florida. So we feel that this project, we're real excited about it. This will be a catalyst project for all of Skyplex. So if you have any questions, we do have members of Skyplex here, not Skyplex, of Arthrex, sorry guys, of Arthrex here today.
Brian, thank you for bringing this forward. Thank you, Arthrex, for coming and doing business here in Lee County. Again, you guys have been great partners for many, many years in Lee County. We look forward to this. This is of Gary and his team. And Don, thank you for putting this together. This is going to be amazing. They'll probably have this built before we actually finish the expansion of the airport, but we'll see how fast private sector can do. I'm confident these guys will build this as fast as they can. It's going to be a great addition to Lee County and economic development here in Skyplex. So thank you for doing business here. And sorry we didn't have you come up earlier. So you had to listen to all this. So it's a great way to end the meeting here. This positive note here. So thank you again.
Thank you.
I'll move approval, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Hammond, second by Commissioner Greenwell. Appreciate the comments. Any public comment on this item? See none, I'll close public comment. I'll bring it back to the board. Any other discussion?
Easiest approval all day.
Besides the grant.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Great, thank you.
Next item is Commissioner items. Commissioner Pendergrass.
No items.
Commissioner Hammond.
I have no items, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Greenwell.
No item.
Mr. Maleka.
One question, I'll see if it's an item or not, but there was a question made about the monthly progress reports, these progress and accountability reports being posted on our agenda or online. Is that a prior board discussion, or has there been other decisions on how to handle those reports being posted or part of the agenda items?
Previously, Mr. Chair, previously I would give those verbally in this meeting. If that changes and you want these that we currently do online, we can most certainly provide that as well.
And include them on our future agendas as well, the last two of those?
Yes, sir.
Do I need to make a motion to do that?
So we need to make a motion to do that?
I don't think it's necessary, Mr. Chairman. With all due respect, I think the director understands the board's direction on that. And if not, you can address it at a future meeting.
Okay, just want to make sure I'm following protocol.
Yep.
Thank you.
I do have a little unorthodox item to bring up, and if I can have a few minutes of indulgence, I'll try to explain this item. We've had great conversations today about projects, about cost overruns, about delays. And I want to bring to this board's attention, and I'd like to see if the attorney can look at what potential options we may or may not have. A while ago, we approved an $82 million contract for a vendor called Ajax. It does about $150 million worth of business in the county. Concern that I've had is that the contract on the Pine Island Bridge started at 4 months, it's at 8 months, it's now at 12 months. I have individually met with the group, all the contractors, all the issues with people from Pine Island, and it was frustrating conversation because we were trying to see why a project went from 4 months to 8 months, and the project was supposed to be done by January 31st. We asked whatever they could. We had indulgence from the FDOT, since FDOT's paying for this. Okay, the secretary of FDOT was on the phone, asked to see what we can do to potentially expedite this, move this along for January 31st. I got a lot of talk and then never heard any follow-up, then heard from Rob Price that we're now April on this project. So in good conscience, we have a lot of projects with this company. And if you're 8 months behind or 2,000% extension in time, I just would like council to see if there's any option for the $82 million contract we had. I don't know if there's any option, and I don't know they've started any work, but I'd like to see what type of ability we have to look at that, because if we're running behind on a project, $100 million or almost $100 million is a lot of money. And we have a contractor that continues to do work in the county, and I thought as one of their better customers, I would at least have some type of satisfaction when I met with them. I'm bringing this to you. I know it's a Board of County Commissioners, but they kind of cross over in both our jurisdictions. And honestly, I don't know what else to do with this. Tuesday, I had all intentions of 2 other items on the agenda to defer those. I don't know if they're substantial enough, since they're $1.5 million and $2.5 million, $4 million. But I thought $82 million is something. I don't want to see this happen and have this Port Authority project potentially delayed 2 more years, because their track record is nothing that I'm very proud of. I bring this up for discussion. I'd love to have the county attorney at least come back with some options. I don't know, we may be too late, but I wanted to bring it to everyone's attention. I wanted to share what I've had in multiple meetings with the county attorney, with the county manager, all the people, the contractors, Rob Price and everybody. And no matter what, all we got was talk and continue to have delays. And I don't even know what the poor people on Pine Island that April is going to be realistic.
I guess they're having like a citizen comment tomorrow about the whole thing, I just heard about it this morning myself. So is it a state project or is it ours or is it joint?
So FDOT basically, when we went to for the bridges, are paying for all the expenditures. So look at FDOT as a contract on that, but they're doing work on our behalf. We're trying to manage it. DDOT's managing it. I don't know. Yes, they're going to have a protest tomorrow at the Pine Island Bridge. I don't know what else to do, but I wanted to bring it to everyone's attention because the community is up in arms. And I've tried with whatever intervention, with staff, with legal. I don't know what else to do.
But I've had this discussion with staff in the past, because it's not just Pine Island Bridge, it's Colonial, for example, who's running 2 years behind, which is a state road, and Colonial, obviously, we all deal with Colonial and I-75 interchange. So again, here the project is 2 years behind, and it can't get a straight answer from FDOT either on that either. So I think in the past, what they've said is labor is the biggest issue there. It used to be supplies, now it's labor. So if we can get an answer, that'd be great. But again, it's not just the bridge in Pine Island, it's
I'm just,
Colonial 884 too, the same thing.
What I'm trying to do, since we passed an $82 million contract, Commissioner, just look at what we have. No work's been started. Again, I don't know if we could do anything, but this project's grossly delayed, and I certainly would like to look at and not having any additional items. That's why I brought it up to you. I'd like to certainly see if Eagle could come back with some type of report, but that's my ask.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
If the board has no opposition to that, we understand the board's direction, and we would be happy to take a look at the agreement and make a report back to you. If you're not satisfied with one of your vendors, we certainly have no problem exploring the board's options.
Anyone opposed to that direction?
I think that's fair, but can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
So to echo your sentiments, right? I think I said in my first board meeting, like, we need to be professional customers, right? We have a lot of buying power. We spend billions of dollars on thousands of projects, right? So we should be able to call the tune for what we want and get the deliverables that we need. I am also a subcontractor, so I can empathize with anybody who's short-staffed and behind schedule and costs more and takes longer than you want. I mean, we've all experienced those things. So I'm not against Ajax personally, but sometimes you bite off more than you can chew at once. And they are the same contractor on Colonial as the Matlacha Bridge and have upcoming bids with the county on some other projects, right? So I've always thought very highly of them, but I've also found myself where I didn't have enough manpower to say yes to somebody who calls me, can you be here tomorrow? It's like, man, I want to say yes, but I can't make everybody happy at once. So sometimes you're overcommitted, and if they're pulling resources because Colonial is in the paper every day and everybody's screaming about that, and they're pulling resources from Matlacha because you only have so many people and so many trucks to do your work. I mean, there is that. So I would like to hear from them, why they think they should be taking on additional work before they finish these other things, because are we willing to do bad behavior with our money? But I think we should be good customers, and, we're the customer when we hire them, and the taxpayer is our boss, right? So we have to make sure that we're doing a good job for everybody. But if they're over capacity and unintentionally, I might bid 100 projects this week, and you wouldn't think they'd all say yes, but they might, right? And so, sometimes you find yourself in those predicaments, and they might be relieved not to have this $82 million obligation right now if they've got 5 other projects around the state that are taxing them, but we're not. But I think it's a viable point to go over those capacity issues and deliveries of service that we deserve, and not just another extension.
I guess to your point, Commissioner, my thought was, we're all in the business of trying to give customer service. Generally speaking, what happens in what we're doing is in piecemeal, we're approving 4 million here, 10 million here, 15 million there. And when I met with the contractors, they basically first said, well, this is FDOT's project. I had LK on the phone. He is the Secretary of Florida Department of Transportation for our section. Talk to them, ask them. We would incentivize them to move this quicker. We didn't get anything. I don't know. My largest customer, when I look at the contracts, we're probably in the north of $150 million. We have a little bit better customer service and interaction. My frustration is I've had 2 meetings, attorneys, county manager. I've done everything. I got the secretary to dial in on a call from FDOT, and I got nothing. I'm frustrated.
Really so.
You have clear direction, sir. Thank you for the indulgences. Sorry to bring something across 2 boards, but it's germane, and thank you for that. Look forward to your report, County Attorney. Thank you very much. Any committee appointments from the board? We had that. I know I did out of the ordinary. Comments from ASMC?
Yes. First of all, I know I speak on behalf of all of us, our committee. Fran, you're going to be a great void. I know we got some great experience coming on here, but your historical and your commitment to this port and the TDC, the combination of that has been extremely helpful to me. I know sitting here making decisions, so we're going to miss you tremendously and don't want you to be a stranger. And also with that, I was really happy that you put us on notice that the legislature had just passed in the U.S. Senate that provide veterans with service-connected disabilities to move up in the front line on the screening. And I just want to make sure that our port here has that messaged some way so our veterans get first. Everybody spread apart, let the veteran through and get through. Will that be messaged in our lobbies and at our TSA checkpoint?
I will check and see what TSA is doing. And I know airlines allow veterans to board before other customers do, but I will check with our TSA.
I was glad you put that out to us because I think it's all of our responsibility to be
As for
at
the
top.
screening,
that they get through on the screening. So thank you for your keeping us abreast of all the things happening with the ports, not just here, but how we can measure up and be proud of what we're doing. And you commissioners, just, y'all are spread so thin with so many different things going on in this county. And for the most part, 90% of it all good, you know, and besides getting engineers, all of us getting an engineering degree, I don't know how we could avoid being where we are right now, but where we are, and we'll work through it and get this port going and still accommodate and make it a wonderful experience for our visitors coming in here. Thank you.
Thank you for being part of the team.
Thank you.
Kevin, I would just like to welcome the news press back. I hope that, with Charlie here today, I hope this means the news press is gonna be here at all the meetings, because we lost Laura Lane, who was here for many, many years and reported good stuff. And we have so much good stuff to say about this place, and sometimes it doesn't get out there. And we've talked and talked about how to get, you know, more good stories. And Vicki does a wonderful job. I'm sure she got Charlie here. So hopefully Charlie, the news press is gonna be at every meeting.
I believe in going to meetings.
Okay.
Can't cover it if you ain't there.
And he does. Thank you, Kevin.
Wanted to echo something Robbie said. First off, we have a wonderful airport. And, you know, I know the press is here today, and I hope they'll understand that things happen beyond their control. When you're looking at $1 billion or $1.5 billion in both of them happening, things go wrong. Just like you just said, Colonial's 2 years behind. You can't get to Matt Lachey. They don't come and say it's Kevin's fault. They just say, I don't even know how to get it solved. Well, these guys are solving our problems, and it has been a delay. But when COVID happened, they were saying 5-6 million people, up 1 million a year. Well, all of a sudden, we jumped right up. We're at 11 million, which is more than we ever were. So on top of running everything, making it beautiful, keeping it great, getting good satisfaction, 50th largest, dealing with these problems, they're still doing a yeoman's job. And I just want to point that out, because I'm very proud to be on this committee and to work with these people. Steve's the head. So I just want to voice that, because I hate negativity.
Any other comments? Executive Director?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first thing I want to bring up is with the deferral of those 3 items, one of those was item 21, that also had an extension of time, as Commissioner Hammond alluded to Manhattan. Manhattan's contract ends at the end of this month on the 31st. So what I'd like for consideration is a motion to extend that time through the end of March 2025 to give us time to reconvene after we've had a chance to further brief the board. So it's a request for an extension of time through the end of March 2025 for the contract for Manhattan.
I think that's reasonable. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion at the commission. Yes, sir.
I just want to say, I do appreciate everything we've been able to go through today. I'm hoping that when we do finally get around to having the discussion in the full about the whole relaunch and everything like that, you know, one of the things that struck me today listening to the Airport Special Management Committee was the wonderful presentations that you all get to be a part of. You get to hear and see from the people who are going to do the work, their presentations. And I guess before we go forward on this project, I want to hear from our partners who are going to do this. And I want to be confident in going forward and spending what appears to be another $340 million in another 43 months. I want to know before I commit to that I am really fully confident in our partners that we've got going forward. So I do want to hear from them directly. Apologize if I was out of line for asking direct questions, but I think that's kind of part of our job here. And certainly we're the ones who are going to look pretty stupid when it doesn't come out right. So I want to make sure that the person who's going to potentially make me look pretty stupid has had a chance to answer some of my questions. And that's my thought.
Commissioner, I mean, we don't have the opportunity to speak. We're just trying to move this and be the elected official to try to help guide this and understand the complexities. We all process differently. We all do things differently. I've been accused of going down rabbit holes and going pretty far. So I don't have a problem with that. I'd rather do too much work than not enough. And it's just overwhelming. And I understand the issue because it was explained to me very clearly yesterday that Manhattan's contract was up. I just couldn't make a decision on anything that remotely say is 346 million. So the question I did ask is what's the extension for Manhattan? Because we're going to move forward, they would get extended as well. What's that cost? And it's $3.4 million for each month. So I was trying to understand. I just said, all right, roughly $4 million. I don't have a problem even refining my motion and assuring this board we'll get together by the end of February. We'll have whatever meetings we need to. I'm not trying to give anything any longer time than it has to, but I do believe it's reasonable. And if my choices were 4 million or 350 million, it was a pretty easy decision. That's the way it was explained to me. Yes, sir.
Pardon me. I think I just caught something that I didn't know. This extension is not just time only. I thought it was explained to me it was just a time extension.
Oh, there's still work going on in that time frame.
They're actually,
Yeah,
there's
still-
active work
There is still
being
items
performed.
going on, yes, during that time frame. So the cost to go, but it's also with the time, so during that month, it's about around a $4 million burn a month, for this project.
But we're getting something tangible for that money at the same time. It's
Yeah,
not just
it's-
management fees of $100,000 a day.
No,
That's what it sounded like for a
Yeah,
second.
it's management fees, it's general conditions, so you have the buses moving people around out there, you have the lay down yard with the equipment, you have some work going on, you have the trades are a portion of that, so, you know, but that's about our general burn rate is right around.
So there's some progress of work being
Yeah.
done in this trade as well. Okay.
Yes, Commissioner.
So some of the projects you just mentioned are already there. They're in place, like the yard. So what are they actually building for $4 million over the next month or two? What are they actually doing productivity wise besides the buses? I asked this question yesterday in my briefing, is trying to get an understanding of what they're physically, we're actually paying for and for doing this extension of time.
Yeah, just to be clear, on this request that Steve brought up is just an extension of their contract term. It's not asking for additional dollars.
So my question is the cost to us, the Port Authority, during that time, the extension, the total cost, and what would they be actually producing during that time?
Okay. Well, they're doing a lot of work right now. They're continuing to do hurricane preparatory work on some of the structural items. They're doing, I have a whole laundry list here, I'm sorry.
So if I came here tomorrow, or Monday, or Tuesday, and
There's people
said
working.
I'd be able to physically go out and see, get a tour to see what they're physically doing.
Yes, there's people working. There's continued work. I mean, there's
On the
work going
expansion
on.
project or expansion project or the existing facility though?
The phase one work.
It's the Phase 1 expansion project, yeah.
Work, okay.
So they're doing work in the elevator, for example. They're building a new 4-story elevator. They're doing fire alarm work. I mean, there's mechanical work, electrical work. There's,
Make, it's like Commissioner Hammond said earlier, make sure they're committed to still be here based upon this timeline.
Yeah, there's extensive welding going on right now to reinforce columns. So there's work, but the cost is still there, and that's what the cost comes to for what's continuing.
So are they working on base bid work right now or change order work? Where are we at? What?
it's a combination. I mean, it's prior change order work and it's existing base bid work.
Not this 346. change
No,
order.
no.
Okay, thank you.
Again, I'm open to even refine this for 30 days as opposed to 60 days. But you understand, we may have to do that if the board's pleasure to just refine it so it keeps us on a very tight schedule. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I would be okay with amending mine as well. Obviously, we would have to set a meeting, some kind of workshop meeting.
I will certainly meet with council, I'll meet with staff, I'll certainly advise everyone, but I can assure you, if January 31st, the contract needs to be extended until February 28th. We will have a meeting. We'll have I think staff knows exactly what we need. We'll have ample time to do that. And I think we could move, certainly meet that and get together as a group. So I'm not looking to try to have anything. I just want a little runway, pardon the French, but to try to move this forward.
Well, I agree, because I think the quicker we can do our side of it and see what we need to get the board's
I agree.
approval, the quicker the better, and if it requires us to be at a special meeting, you're the chairman. Let it go.
Yeah, so I'll gladly revise mine to February 28th. I'm not looking to put any pressure. I'm not trying to send the wrong message, but I think Commissioner Hammond, Commissioner Pendergrass, and Commissioner Greenwell and Walker all bring up points that I think we can continue to just think about, form our own questions in our mind, maybe get additional insight from staff, have that, and I will certainly, as quickly as possible, make sure that my assistant works with staff, works with your schedules, and accommodates this. But I have every confidence in the world we can have a substantive conversation long before February 28th comes. So I'll gladly amend my motion for 1 month. I'm not trying to put any anxiety, and I have the utmost confidence in Manhattan. So it has nothing to do with, but I do believe we need to have a substantive conversation, and I respect some of my commissioners' comments. Does that make some more sense, commissioners?
I'll second that. New motion, I'll second.
Commissioner Hammond or Pendergrass, is that better?
I can do 30 days
Okay.
or whatever it is, yeah.
Thank you, sir. I have a motion, a second on the floor. Any public comment? See none, I'll close public comment. Come back here. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed?
I oppose.
Motion carries 4-1. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just real two quick other items. LCPA recently received notice from the Army Corps of Engineers, and they've granted us a 5-year permitting extension on the land for the parallel runway. So there's been some back and forth with various agencies about who gives that approval. So we're happy to report that we have that for another 5 years. And ending on a high note for us, at least, every year we have a big push for United Way. And this year we have about 450 employees. We just wrapped it up last week. LCPA raised $54,000, which is a record-breaking amount. And it's notable that in the last 12 years, this organization, LCPA, has raised over $500,000 that we've been able to give directly to United Way. And it's really thanks to the generosity and the willingness of the people that work with us to help the community out. So thank you to Vicki and her team for running a crazy little program there with all kinds of giveaways and make it a really good atmosphere. But at the end of the day, when we have the hurricanes, when we have life, it's a great resource, and the employees really value that and really take it to heart to donate for the betterment of the community. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Conclude your report?
Yes, sir.
Court Attorney?
Nothing further, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Any public comments on any item that's not on the agenda, feel free to come on up, right?
Make it short, no pun intended.
The runway is yours.
First of all, Fran, I want to extend my congratulations again. I would have loved to have been around with you and Orville and Will Wright when you started all this work, but after listen to what you've done there. So congratulations. I hope that I can do you proud and the group here proud. You sit here at a little bit different perspective from where I'm sitting today, and you look at the talent in this room, you look at the pressure in this room. We're all trying to get to the same place, but I want you to think about something. In 2020, COVID came to this country, and it disrupted our world. It disrupted our partners, disrupted our personal lives, and disrupted the county, okay? So yeah, this project was supposed to have been done, but when you think about the disruptions that not only COVID caused, but the hurricanes caused, yeah, you can make a case that we're behind. You can be frustrated because we want this to move along. But take that within the context of what we've dealt with for the last 5 years. And I think if you do that, the timeline's really not that out of line. So, thanks. Have a good weekend.
Any other public would like to speak? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back to the board. Any other items before us?
May I just have a moment?
Absolutely.
Personal privilege, please. Fran, I'm sorry we didn't get to work together longer, but I want to thank everybody for the warm welcome I got in my first meeting today, so. But thank you for all your years of service. I look forward to working with everybody here, and everybody on staff is doing a great job, made me feel welcome, and I look forward to being part of this group. It's an honor to be here. So thanks for making it a memorable first meeting.
David, for history, this is the longest meeting I've ever sat.
Say the best for last,
Waiting
right?
on you.
Probably 30.
Was it just because I was 5 minutes late?
We used to have those 2
Good. I
3-minute
think
meetings.
it's
Remember those
really
the 2-minute meetings we
I
used to
think
have?
this healthy
3 minutes?
dialogue is
I
good
do
for everybody
too.
to vet things and share all the good ideas. There's a lot of things going right
9:30 in
around
the morning,
here.
be done at
We
9:30.
need to remember that too. So thank you for making it so many things right
Trying.
around here for so many years.
Any other items before the board? I'll call for adjournment. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Steve, we had that